Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Non Sequitur Nerds. Tonight, we're going to need you to check for any trolls in Central Park because we're going back to the land before time. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Don Bluth tonight. Joining me, as always, is Ian. How's it going, Ian?
Going fairly well today. Got a bit of a headache. I don't really know why, but c'est la vie. That is life, right?
Yeah, very true, very
But we
true.
are not here to talk about my woes, which include headache, school, so much more.
Side effects may include
Anyway,
nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea and death.
correct. Oh, wait, you mean life?
I mean, yes, side effects of life may include death. Um,
Yes, yes. When you kill something, it dies.
that, very true, very true. Unless it doesn't.
Mm.
Zombies.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, so yeah, as Tim said, we are talking Don Bluth, who is one of I would say he's one of the best known unknown animators that's kind of out there. Like
Yeah, good analogy.
when you think of animation studios nowadays, you think of obviously Disney, you think of Pixar,
Yep,
you think of
yep.
DreamWorks, Illumination, the people that made those goddamn annoying minions. Um,
Dude, my kids love those. They love the Minions, though.
my kids do too, but they were cute for a movie and a half, and then
I stopped caring.
uh, yeah. But anyway, so Don Bluth is one of those animators that, as is most of older folks, cut his teeth at Disney
Hmm?
in animation many, 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 many years ago.
Oh yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah, and then he left to start his own studio and developed and delivered some quintessential classics,
Oh
really, from
god,
when we were
yeah,
growing up.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so Don Bluth is kind of characterized by a particular style, more definitely traditional hand drawn. Has the way certain characters kind of look. The humans kind of are drawn almost like the golden age of Disney.
Yeah.
Right, type characters. If you look at we're gonna jump over to a video game real quick, but Don Bluth also did Dragon's Lair, those interactive games from back in the arcade
Oh
era,
yeah.
Space Ace, and the Dirk from Dragon's Lair looks remarkably like some of the characters in that look remarkably like some of the characters from like the Sword and the Stone
I was gonna
and
say
the
Sword in the
older.
Stone. Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely see the parallels there. But like
Yeah, absolutely.
his animation was always like incredibly fluid, though.
Hmm.
I mean, like unnaturally fluid. But I mean that really that's what part of what gave it its distinct look, though.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're very well done, very good movies. Actually you can also see some of his influence on even a newer-ish Disney movie, which was oh he worked on Robin Hood, which was came out in the 1970s.
Yep.
You can see his influence on that. He also did some animation for The Fox and the Hound, which
Which
was I
was
believe
an amazing
he
Disney
did
film.
as a contractor, I believe,
Good.
because that was after his departure uh, from Disney. Um, you know, Animation style or animation on the Rescuers.
Well,
Again, you can kind of see that same style. Um,
yeah.
Winnie the Pooh,
I
kind
see.
of harder to do
Did he do?
his style there.
He did Rescuers, but did he do Rescuers Down Under?
No, because the Rescuers Down Under, I believe, came out in the early '90s. I think I want to
Okay.
say it was like late '80s, early '90s, like '93 for some reason sticks out of my
I
mind, but I don't think that's right.
It was in the '90s. I know that. Like,
Yeah, which the Rescuers Down Under for me I loved that movie as a
oh,
kid.
absolutely, yeah. I like Down Under better than the original.
Yeah, I
I
did
mean,
too.
one of the few Disney sequels that I thought was better than the original. Like,
Yeah,
it's usually
exactly.
like
And
because like Disney's animated features have this horrible thing. Like, the first one was amazing, and then they always make a direct-to-video second, third, etc. for some of them, and like you can tell like the animation quality they are not using their A team. The voice actors are all, I'll be honest, sometimes really bad voice imitators compared to the originals, and like they just don't have that, for lack of a better description, Disney magic, you know?
Yeah, and it's one of those cash grab type things.
Yeah,
They had a
absolutely.
hot property. They know it's gonna make money. It's not gonna make as much as the original, but it's gonna
Right.
make money. Um, you know,
I mean, look at
eh,
Aladdin, Aladdin 2, and Aladdin 3. Like, granted, like
right.
Aladdin 3 was, but of the two sequels, was the best one. But that's not
Well,
saying much
yes.
when you're going up against Aladdin 2.
Well, yeah. I mean, Aladdin 2 had its issues, namely
Yeah,
most of which was that Robin Williams wasn't in it.
yeah.
Um, but yeah. So Don Bluth has influences on a lot of different properties. Moved on and started his own studio. Um, one of his first movies in his new studio was The Secret of Nim.
Which is one of my. That's easily my top one of his.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It's based on a book. Uh, I can't remember the name. It's like
The Rats of Nim, isn't that what it's called?
it's oh, what's the main rat's or mouse's name? No,
Nicodemus?
the
Oh,
female mouse.
Mrs. Brisby.
Yeah, that's what the name of the book is. It's actually the Mrs. Brisby and the
Rats
Rats
of
of
Nim.
Nim or
That's
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So
Which I recently saw that they are doing a Rats of Nim animated series. I don't remember what it's coming out to, but like it's supposed to follow the book's plot a lot closer,
interesting.
which I mean the cartoon was pretty dark, admittedly, but the book is a lot darker.
Yeah, I mean the movie is is really terrifying, like
Well, I mean,
to
like
children. Like
you look at Nicodemus, who's like this benevolent leader and only wants to free his people, but like in the cartoon, he was terrifying looking. Like
oh yeah,
I
like
thought he was
long
scarier than the I
fingernails.
thought he was
Like
scarier than the owl.
he was the Nicodemus. Like he's like Saruman in rat form.
Yes, that is a very apt description. I mean, as far as physical appearance, yeah, he is Saruman
Yeah,
in
like
rat form.
has the long fingernails, like the long beard,
Yep.
just obviously this is going to be kind of a spoilery episode, but we're talking about a movie that came out in 1982.
I think we're
So
past the statute on that one.
sorry, not sorry. This movie is older than Tim and I.
Yeah, which is saying something.
So exactly because we're old.
We are.
So the death of Nicodemus was also terrifying as well. 'Cause he has like a cinder block fall on him, I
Yeah,
believe.
I think so. Yeah, which
Uh,
like we
no,
we had seen death in Disney films, but I mean that was pretty brutal. I mean,
yeah, I mean it was pretty brutal. I mean they don't show anything. Like obviously
yeah,
it's one of those like that you see the cinder block fall and like the hushed gasps and everybody's trying to figure it out and whatnot. But I mean you don't see like a mushed rat, but I mean a
because that's
lot
what
of
you'd have.
right, a lot of the characters in that were beautifully animated, but also just terrifying. Like the cat, Dragon, I think was his name.
Right,
It's like the one-eyed evil, like barn cat, and
right,
this thing is just like menacing. Like it looks like a freaking badger
yeah,
more than it does a cat. It's just terrifying. Um, so yeah, I mean that's kind of a harsher introduction into kind of Don Bluth's movie pantheon. Like
right.
he definitely like came out of the gate swinging.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, it worked out because he had a lot of films.
He did. I mean, he did have a lot of films, like especially amongst his studio and his own stuff. The next one I think was probably arguably the more popular of the two, which was An American Tail.
Yep,
The
a
story of
classic.
right, the story of Fievel and the Mousekowitzes.
Yep, yep,
Yes,
nailed it.
Mousekewitz. Um, their journey to America, which spawned a sequel, which was actually again in this case I enjoyed the sequel more.
Yeah,
Um,
Five Goes West. I mean that one, like the animation in the first Five was really good. Bible Goes West, however, like they kicked that up to another notch. I mean, everything was just so crisp, clean, colorful. You know, everything was just vibrant. The characters were like, super expressive. Just that is no disrespect to Disney, but they need to take a page out of Don Bluth's book when it comes to their animated features. I mean, granted, I know Disney's doing just CG these days, but still, they should have looked at that and went, "Wait, you can make an animated sequel that's good? I don't understand."
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the sequel came out in 1994.
Mm.
Uh,
That's yeah.
so and the original American Tail came out in 1986.
So there's a
So
pretty decent time gap there.
yeah, I mean, there's a pretty decent time gap. But
Yeah,
again, Don Bluth Studios, they probably used a little bit of CGI computer type stuff, but I mean, it was 94. When people think of like CGI in
pretty
94, they think of like
rudimentary.
they think of like reboot. Um,
Man,
uh,
that was state of the art at the time, though, man.
no, it really was. I think it actually it was the first show that was fully animated in computer graphics. It was the first television show, and it's Canadian, by the way.
And
Um,
it shows.
yes. But yeah, so again, Don Bluth is characterized by doing hand-drawn animation for the most part. A lot of the traditional animation styles. So American Tail came out, and again, beautiful. Also, um, star it has some pretty good star power in it. John Cleese as the main villain, Caterwall.
Oh
Uh,
man, John Cleese. Ah.
yeah. Crap. What's his name now? John Lovitz as the spider, Chula.
Yep.
Um, then you have Dom DeLuise as Tiger, the cat. You have which we'll get to that him in a
Yep.
minute. And then you have the dog, George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life, Jimmy Stewart.
Yes.
Jimmy Stewart, one of Jimmy Stewart's last acting credits, really
Yeah.
was that. Which fun fact for you, Jimmy Stewart was actually a brigadier general in the armed forces for the United States.
See, we can be educational here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that though.
So
Yeah. Huh.
yeah, and American Tail had a few other, direct to DVD. Those kind of suffered from the whole, you know,
There, there were more than just the two.
uh-huh. Yep.
I was not aware of this.
Yeah, there were a few of them. An
Huh.
American Tail, The Treasure of Manhattan Island, An American Tail, The Mystery of the Night Monster. Um, and apparently there was a TV series actually,
Really?
called Fievel's American Tales back in 1992. So
I, okay. I was under the impression there were just the two Fievel films, let alone several and a show.
right. By the way, I'm going to correct myself. Sorry, American Tail, Fievel Goes West, actually released in 1991, not
Okay.
94. So my
Well, I
bad.
mean, but still, that's still a pretty decent time gap.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, well, we mentioned a moment ago, Dom DeLuise,
Hmm.
uh, fantastic actor. Love him.
Also a chef, wasn't he?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, he was a chef. He was a
I
chef.
vaguely remember that.
Has a very distinct voice. Um,
Absolutely, yeah. Did
yeah, had a.
did we mention him at all in our voice actor episode?
I don't think so, which is
I feel like
sad.
we've done him a disservice, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, no, we did. But yeah, no, Dom DeLuise, he's very distinctive voice. Appeared in, I think, almost all
I was gonna
of Don
say
Bluth's movies in
he was
some way,
in
shape, or form.
quite a few of them at the least. Yeah.
Um, Not necessarily always a main character, but at least or, the main character, but at least a sidekick type character. And they had a very beautiful like working relationship,
Oh,
obviously, because he
absolutely.
was
Yeah.
in so much stuff. Go and check out Dom DeLuise's acting credits. He also became really good friends with Burt Reynolds. Did a lot of stuff with
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds. They were in Cannonball Run together.
Oh,
They,
I forgot that Don DeLuise also did some live action stuff.
he
I've
was in
actually
Smokey and the Bandit 2. He was, you know, they reprised their roles from Cannonball Run for an episode of Robot Chicken
Oh, did they
in the first
really?
season. Yeah, it literally is it actually is Dom DeLuise and
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds
Like
doing the voices.
I'm looking through Dom DeLuise's lists here, and like he did a lot of stuff. I'm kind of surprised. Man,
Yep. And
I forgot he was in Oliver and Company. That's one of my like
yeah,
favorite obscure Disney films.
yep. Fagin.
Yeah,
The kind of goofy.
the Vagrant.
Yeah,
Fagin the
yeah,
Vagrant.
basically. Um. So yeah. But Don Bluth had other movies within his pantheon that were also really good. Probably I want to say probably his most famous from back then, back in that era
I'm
was
wondering which one you're gonna say.
Land Before Time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean that which spawned like 500 sequels.
and a TV series.
Land Before Time. Like I mean that one as a kid, the very first Land Before Time, like was such a touching and well done. Even as a child, I recognized how good that was, which says something. But then like Land
It,
Before Time 2 came out, and I'm like, oh, a second one, let's watch it. And now everybody's singing and dancing, and this is not at all like the first one. And then they just went
yeah,
downhill.
they went the Disney route there. Quality definitely dropped off, but yeah, I mean it was
Yeah,
a
it
very
did.
powerful movie. It was one of those movies that actually dealt with death well.
Yes,
With
absolutely.
the death of Littlefoot's mother, they treated it very well. Treated loss and how to manage that very
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
So, um, yeah, it was a beautiful movie, and I still have. Do you remember, Tim, back when we were way younger, when Pizza Hut had
The puppets?
the puppets?
Mm-hmm.
I still have them
Oh my god.
around
I
here
have
somewhere.
them somewhere. Like, I imagine those might maybe be worth some. I mean, they were so mass produced that probably not, but I'd be interested to see if they are.
You'd have to get one in like pretty pristine condition.
Right. I mean, and let's be honest, most of us as kids were pretty rough on those.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
you had to like freaking squeeze with all your might to get some of them to do anything, as they
well,
were like a solid rubber handpiece.
yeah. I mean, it's really what I mean. He was just like
just,
you could articulate the limbs a little
just
bit and
seeing
like
you over there fisting the air.
hey. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
So
they were those were pretty rough. But yeah, Land Before Time. I mean, like you said, I mean, when you saw Littlefoot's mother die, again, if you haven't seen it at this point, tough luck. But like that was like I remember just bawling my eyes out as a kid over that. Like I was more upset by that than I was like Bambi's mom dying. I'm like, oh, that's sad. Littlefoot's mother dying, I was inconsolable.
well, Bambi's mother, she died off screen. Like
Yeah,
there was no real emotional connection there other
yeah,
than just seeing Bambi look for his mom.
right.
Like,
With Land Before Time, like
and
they
they
set
really
up an
don't.
emotional bond with Littlefoot and his mother.
Right, and they don't in Bambi, like they don't actually come out and say that she's dead, like
Right.
because I think his dad comes out and just like, no, she's gone, like that's
We
it.
have to leave, Bambi.
Like it's veiled. Like they don't come out and tell you like what happened. So they didn't to kids, young kids, that's probably fine. Like,
Right.
the parents understood. The kids are probably like, well, where did Bambi's mom go?
Reno. She
So
went to Reno.
right.
Yeah.
And so I mean, basically, Disney kind of took a cop out there, and
Right.
they left it up to the parents to kind of explain.
You deal with this.
Right. And again, Don Bluth, just like, nope, nope,
Things
no,
die.
we're doing this.
Yeah.
We're doing this. Another one of my movies, and things are gonna die.
Yep.
Actually thinking about it, that's It's a pretty good
Kind of a
characterization of Don Bluth films. Like
let's
things
see here.
die in Don Bluth
See,
films.
something died, something died. I'm looking at the little image I have up. Something died, something died, something died. The movie's about dying. I I don't remember if anybody dies in that one. I don't think so.
Which one?
Rock-A-Doodle.
Uh,
Because even the main bad guy doesn't die in that.
yeah, I'm trying to. I don't. I think that was one of the few that didn't have a.
A major death. Let's see, Thumbelina. I don't know if I've ever watched that beyond clips. So I don't know. Let's see. Anastasia.
Yeah, I think there's a bad guy. I think there's a bad guy in that dies.
Okay,
in Thumbelina.
Anastasia. I mean,
Yeah,
he doesn't
definitely.
die. He just goes to hell. So I mean, while alive.
Well,
I mean,
no, he dies because at the end of the movie, like his soul gets sucked out and he
oh
turns into a
yeah.
skeleton
That's
and then
right. And then
deteriorates
gets
into dust.
yeah. Let's see, Titan A.E.
Yes.
Yeah. Troll in Central Park. I don't, because it's been a while since I've seen that one. I don't remember if anybody dies in that one. But I mean, it's we're ratting like what 80% just off of those few that we mentioned there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah.
all handled very maturely too.
Yeah, very either maturely or they didn't.
They didn't
It
shy
was
away
either
from the fact that something died.
correct. Like they're not really showing like people. For the most part, there's a few exceptions here, getting shot and
Right.
things like that, or being horribly mauled.
Right.
That said, I just I think back to the scene, and we'll jump to All Dogs Go to Heaven, right? It's a movie about dying.
Yeah,
Like
that's the whole
it's
point of
pets,
the movie.
it's pets dying, and it's Burt Reynolds as Charlie,
Right.
and Dom DeLuise as his sidekick,
Itchy.
Itchy.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, like for the longest time, I thought that Charlie was Charlie Sheen.
He was in the sequel.
Charlie was
In
played by
all the
Charlie. Okay,
Yes,
maybe that's what I'm thinking of because I'm like I remember that sounding a lot like Charlie Sheen.
in All Dogs Go to Heaven too, the Burt Reynolds did not reprise the voice. Charlie was played by Charlie Sheen.
Winning.
Yes. So
Throwback to 2020 or to 2000, I should say.
right. So the All Dogs Go to Heaven's a movie about. I mean, it's blatantly about death.
Yeah, I mean, like
Like
literally, like one of the bad guys like wants to kill Charlie and does. I mean, that's
yeah, hits him with a car. Well, if you think about it, like this, the material for that movie is pretty dark because
yeah.
like they get Charlie drunk,
Mm-hmm.
take him out onto a pier.
Yep.
Then he gets hit by a car and dies.
Yeah.
They have, the one fat dog, not Carface, but his
Yeah.
like annoying sidekick,
Yeah.
has a goddamn Tommy gun and tries to kill Charlie with it.
Yep.
Like, is shooting up like a fruit stand to try to kill Charlie.
My cabbages.
Like,
Like I learned growing up that owning a fruit stand is the most dangerous line of work you can get into.
especially in a city. Like
anywhere there's a fruit stand, it's a horrible job. Doesn't pay enough, and you might die.
You can have a fruit stand in the middle of the friggin' Sahara Desert, and somehow someone will like smash a car into it.
Yep, never fails.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but yeah, the whole movie is about murdering the main character, and they do it. I mean,
yep, and then they keep trying to do it.
Yep.
And Carface gets eaten by an alligator off screen.
Yeah.
At the end, the singing alligator, which was always a fun.
Oh yeah, yep.
That was kind of a fun twist.
Well,
But,
and the movie, I mean, dealt a lot with morality as well. Morality and consequence, because like Charlie dies, and like the tagline of the movie says, all dogs go to heaven. So he goes to heaven, and I don't remember the exact setup, but effectively, all pets that die have a watch in heaven that stops at the moment of their death. Or Charlie had a watch. Charlie had a watch that stopped at the moment of his
Yeah,
death.
all the dogs do. All the
Yep.
dogs do.
Yep.
You have to, yeah, you kind of find your watch, but
Yep. But he's
you're
like,
not
wait,
supposed
so
to.
so if it stops, I'm dead, right? Yeah, that's the rules, Charlie. And he winds it and sends himself back down to Earth. And they're like, no, if you leave heaven, you can't come back. And so like that introduced like a frightening character, which is effectively like the dog devil, or the dog. I guess it'd be more like a dog grim reaper, but
Yeah,
yeah. But effectively, it's like, no, Charlie, you had one chance to go to heaven. You can't go back to heaven. You go to hell when you die. Now there's no around this. So I mean, Charlie's got that hanging over his head now.
yeah, and then there's the implication obviously then with the sequel was that there was a hell because the main villain was
There,
effectively like the cat devil. Uh,
yeah.
they were trying to fight the cat devil.
Which I
So
mean, like any of you that own cats, like I mean, there is no heaven. I'm sorry, cats are the spawn of the devil.
they are, which is interesting because you have three and I have two, and
Yep. I love my
uh,
cats so, but they are horrid creatures, and I love them.
oh yeah, yeah. My fat cat was he has been doing this thing lately where he wants to go and sleep under my daughter's bed,
Yeah.
but I don't want him in their room. So like I couldn't find him earlier, and I went, oh, I know exactly where he is because the door was open. So I went
Yep.
in there and started trying to chase his ass out from under the bed, and he just sat under there and like growled and hissed at me. So I had to like get a broom or something and like whop him out a few times to get him out from under there. He was not
Ow.
very happy. Yeah, he was not very happy with me. Yeah. So All Dogs Go to Heaven was definitely kind of that was a very blunt movie when it came
Yeah.
when it came to it, but it was again it was a very very well executed movie. Um, and the main human character, I can't remember her name.
The little
Uh,
girl, right?
yeah, the little girl,
A-
voiced by the
Anna
same
Marie.
and yeah, Anne Marie, I think it
Yep.
was.
Yeah, Anne
Yeah,
Marie. Yep.
yeah, voiced by the same young lady that also did the voice of Ducky in the original
Oh,
All Dogs Go
okay.
to Heaven. We're going to get a little melancholy here for some trivia for you. Unfortunately, after that, she never came back because she died
Oh.
in a very tragic turn of events. Well, I'll just come out and say it. Basically, her father kind of went off the deep end and killed his whole
Oh.
family.
Oh. Ooh. Ew.
Yeah. So I believe Don Bluth did a few tributes to her in his later movies. But yeah, she unfortunately I believe All Dogs Go to Heaven was her last role.
Oh.
She died shortly thereafter.
Sad.
Yeah, it is. Um, so sorry about that, folks. But
Yeah.
we'll try to get back into a little bit more levity here. Speaking of Rock-A-Doodle,
Yes. Rock-A-Doodle.
this this is the movie that really started this conversation,
Yep.
and it was the inspiration for this show because uh, Tim's wife, we're on Discord together, and she mentioned Rock-A-Doodle, asked me about Rock-A-Doodle the other day if I remember that movie. I went, yes, I did. And then I went, wait, we've not done an episode about Don Bluth. I think
Yep.
we talked about it before, but we never actually did it.
Yep.
So
That's what brought it
yeah, I
around.
mean,
Rock-A-Doodle was I think like compared to like a lot of the other films we talked about of his was quite a bit different. Like it had its darkness to it, but it was a lot more. I don't want to say upbeat, but that's like the best way I can think to describe it. I mean, it was
yeah,
different, but in a good way.
yeah. I mean, it was also one of those films that blended. It was one of those rare films that blended real, like live action with
Yes.
animation. Now, granted, the live action components were not very. I mean, they weren't in it for very long. So they weren't there for very long,
Yeah.
but you could definitely you could see those elements in the at the very beginning and the end of
Yep.
the
Well,
um
think of it like Wizard of Oz and Dorothy's Real World versus Oz. Only in the beginning and only in the end. Rock-A-Doodle was the
yeah.
bright, colorful part in the middle.
Exactly. Um, or another movie that I kind of like that I like to reference is the Page Master.
Yeah. Oh man, I haven't thought of that one in a while. That's not a Don Bluth, right?
No,
Okay,
but
I didn't think so.
you can see a very similar style
Yeah.
to that one. It's I'm trying to see who actually produced that
Was
movie.
that
That was
Fox?
actually no, well, Fox Family Films, but distributed by 20th Century, but it was actually done by Hanna-Barbera.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit different than anything else they were doing at the time.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's a little that's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that. But no, Rock-A-Doodle is another like that's right up there, pretty close with Secret of Nim for me. Um, Effectively, the whole premise of it is it's the story of Elvis, more or less,
Right.
but told in a very exaggerated way. Um, it's based on a book as well, if I remember right. Like a lot, I mean, like most animated feature films of this era, it's based on a story. Whether it's Don Bluth or Disney, that's they took books and put them to film. But Chanticleer the Rooster, that was his whole thing. Was he would crow and the sun would come out, and everybody on the farm, that was the truth. If Chanticleer didn't crow, the sun would not come out. When Chanticleer crows, the sun comes out. That's the law.
Yep.
That's how it works. Well, then the evil owls, who they live in the night, they live in the darkness. That's what they do. Effectively, captured Chanticleer, and the sun still rose. So everyone's like, but he didn't crow. Why is the sun up? And so Chanticleer, his one purpose in life gone, leaves, goes off to like the equivalent of Hollywood, and becomes Elvis. But
Right.
like
Yeah,
so many colorful characters in that film, though.
yeah, and it also had another one of those like all-star cast that like you don't even
Mm-hmm.
know, like you don't realize it until like you go and look at like the cast list. So
Mm-hmm.
like the main like the Basset Hound, Patu,
Mm-hmm.
that's Phil Harris,
Yeah.
who famously played Baloo the bear
Yep.
in Disney's Jungle Book, from back in the day.
Yep.
The Grand Duke of Owls,
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Plummer,
Right. Yeah.
like the legendary Christopher Plummer
Mm-hmm.
is plays the Grand Duke of Owls, like the main villain,
Yep.
and does such a wonderful job of it
Oh
too.
God, yes. Like
Yeah,
the only person I could see taking that role to another level would have maybe have been Christopher Lee. But like I think at that point, like animation was probably not his thing. Granted,
probably
this is the same Christopher Lee that made a metal Christmas album, so I
well,
mean it might not have
true,
it might have been up
true.
his alley.
Yeah, very true. So and another reoccurring character in Don Bluth films is Charles Nelson Riley,
Hmm.
who plays Hunch, the little like the nephew to the Grand Duke.
The little henchman. Yep.
But he has a very distinct voice. Like he's also, he played the fat dog that had the Tommy gun
Oh
um,
yeah, yeah,
in All Dogs Go to Heaven.
yeah.
He appears in several Don Bluth films. So the and that movie was. I feel like that one had more of a Disney feel to it.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah,
Probably
compared to
because it
some of the other
actually had
films.
like it had like like musical numbers and whatnot, but it still had that dark Don Bluth undertone though. Like
Well, yeah,
that.
like the Grand Duke, like as the film goes on and like he gets more powerful, like you see him like definitely become more of a darker entity.
Yeah. Uh, it- yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic movie, and
Mhm.
it's a good mild, relatively mild introduction to Don Bluth, but you still get those same Don Bluth elements. Just nobody dies.
Right?
Uh,
At least
so
not that I can remember, because
I
like
don't think
because
anyone.
even the Grand Duke like loses all his power and like shrinks down to itty bitty size. So I mean, like if the main bad guy, and I don't remember any major good characters that died. So I don't think anybody dies in that one.
No, I mean there's they reference Peepers, the mouse, potentially going down, or but is ultimately not.
Right. She's still there.
So yeah, she's still there. So yeah, I mean Don Bluth is I mean that was again I felt was a really it was a nice mild introduction to his movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So then in his pantheon next is Thumbelina,
So
which
are
I
you
believe you.
you can't see the image I put up on our video feed, but you so far have listed, like, maybe this picture's just in order, but like so far you've gotten everyone in the order it is on this image. So maybe they went on chronological order here. But
Maybe they might have.
but yeah, Thumbelina was one that I said this earlier. I didn't really. I've seen clips. I don't recall seeing it in its entirety. Mostly
Mhm.
because like when that came out, I'm like, oh yeah, that's not a movie for me.
My little sister, who's 5 years younger than me, she really liked that movie, if I remember correctly, and saw it several times. So
Okay.
I by extension have saw it. But it's one of those movies that I easily forget about
Yeah.
until later. But it's also probably not one of the better known Don Bluth movies.
Right.
It was it's the story of Thumbelina, and I think one of the main detractors of it was the very racist gypsy frogs that are in it.
Yeah. I mean, like that. That's a movie that it doesn't really hold up content wise.
No, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it was again, it was a movie from back in the early '90s. It released in 1994. I am not forgiving it, but that
Right.
was again, that was the humor of the time.
Yeah.
You know,
Sadly.
people take your cancel culture crap and just stow it. Like it's like going back and reviewing Friends, being like, well, they make gay jokes all the time. Like, well, yeah, that it came out in the late '90s. Like that was just the humor of the time. It doesn't make it right, but
Right.
that's
No, it
just what
doesn't.
it was. So Thumbelina's kind of the same way. I think somebody dies in that one, if I
Maybe
remember correctly. But we're not really going to spend a lot of time on that one because neither Tim or I really saw it. Or, like we saw it, but we just don't
we didn't.
remember much
We
about it.
saw it. We just didn't see it.
Yeah. Now the next movie though, which also came out in the same year, so it was a very busy time for Don Bluth. A Troll in Central Park.
Okay. Yep. So I know what the next two movies you're going to mention are now.
Yeah, so A Troll in Central Park. That movie I felt was another really good one
hmm
that I really enjoyed.
it was a
And it,
good, cute film, you know.
yeah, cute film, and and dealt with different themes of being a child.
Yeah.
In this case, like I don't want to say abandonment, but just like you know absentee parents,
Yeah.
trying to find like yourself, trying to find you know uh
Your
just
place.
your place
Yeah.
really. And that's the whole I mean that's the whole thing with the main character too. I can't remember his name. Stanley? Yeah,
Bilbo
Stanley.
Baggins. Oh,
No.
I was close.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, I think it was Stanley actually.
yeah, I mean he voiced by Dom DeLuise. Um
So he gets a starring role.
yes, he gets his starring role. Also featured, oh shoot, I just opened the wrong thing. Well, here's something for you. Jodie Benson starred as the as Thumbelina in Thumbelina,
Jodie Benson. Why do I know that name?
the voice of Ariel from The Little Mermaid.
Oh, okay. So all right. So I'm noticing a lot of like those classic Disney actors working for Don Bluth here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't. It's kind of hard to turn down a role, right?
Right.
But um, well, again, decent. There wasn't a huge cast in that movie.
There really
Like
wasn't. Yeah.
there wasn't a whole lot of characters. But it was very very cutesy, like very supposed to be fun for kids.
Right.
Cloris Leachman played
Oh man.
the
Yeah.
main villain in that. So I can very distinctly hear her voice as that
Yeah.
character just
Yep.
so menacing and just like yeah, menacing but funny at the same time.
Right.
But that was a movie that really dealt well with those childhood elements. That I feel like they did a good job of kind of maintaining that that innocence and how to how to navigate some of these areas of your life. And I think maybe that's something that we could characterize by several of Don Bluth's films is just like they treated childhood and these elements of life with much more realism, I feel like, than they did with than Disney did. You know, Disney was the make you feel good stuff.
Right.
Don Bluth was the this is shit you got to deal with in life, folks. Like,
Yeah.
sorry. Um, so all right, well, you know the movie order that I'm going in. What's the next one?
Let's see. The next one should be. Let's see. We just did Troll's Park. Pebble and the Penguin.
That is
Yep.
correct.
Which is
Uh,
I just noticed is not on this image, but I luckily had the wiki page pulled up.
uh
But yeah,
okay.
yeah. Pebble and the Penguin. Like I remember watching that one and like it was fun, but it wasn't one of my like top tier ones. You know. I mean, it was very characteristically a Don Bluth film. But just I don't know if it just was a story or what it was about it. I didn't I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as honestly any of the others we've mentioned apart from Thumbelina because I didn't really watch that one. Um, which I mean, fun fact, like looking here as well, his animated films, Thumbelina was actually the only one of his animated films, with the exception of an older direct-to-TV film, Banjo and the Woodpile Cat. Thumbelina was the only one that Don Bluth was the director, producer, and writer for. The rest of them, he was either director and producer or just director. That's the only one that he was all three. So fun little trivia.
Yeah, Pebble and the Penguin was another one of those movies that was
I mean, it was there.
we saw a lot in my household because again it was one of the, I mean we had it on VHS. My brother and sister enjoyed it. It's a fun little journey. It's a story of like growth and
Yeah.
acceptance of yourself. Finding who you are types thing. And again had a decent cast of characters. Martin Short as Hubie, the main
Yep.
character. Annie Golden as the main female character. Jim Belushi was
Yeah.
in it I
Belushi.
mean, he was probably the second best character in that.
And the second best Belushi.
Correct. But it also
Sorry,
had.
Jim. You're awesome.
I mean, he grows weed now, so
That's what he does now. I
yeah,
mean, I'm not
he's a
surprised, but
pot farmer. He's got like there's a whole TV show about it. I
oh,
can't remember what it's called, but
huh,
yeah.
interesting.
Tim Curry as the main villain.
Tim Curry.
Uh, yes, it's hard to talk about like we've mentioned this. We mentioned him during our voice actors episode, but um, it's hard to talk about like old cartoons and stuff like that without talking about Tim Curry because
Yeah,
the dude is legendary.
absolutely.
Uh, so it was it was a good. I mean, it had good star power. Story was a little light.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say hackneyed or anything like that, but just didn't have as much gravitas as the others.
yeah. I mean,
So
it started. There was some conflict. It ended. I mean, just not saying it's a bad movie, but just wasn't. It almost seemed like they brought their B team on for that one. You know, I mean,
well, I mean, again, that one released,
oh,
right in a flurry of Don Bluth films.
yeah.
So, All Dogs Go to Heaven was 89, Rock-A-Doodle's 91, Thumbelina 94, Troll in Central Park 94, Pebble and the Penguin 95.
I mean, they were all like
Uh,
pretty, like especially '94 to '95. There were a lot of things they did. So I mean, I'm wondering if that's an issue of his team was just spread, and himself were just spread way too thin almost. Because I mean, it was
yeah.
if we move on a little bit, it was 2 years before we saw his
Mhm.
next film, Anastasia,
Yep.
which I mean is more based on the romanticization of Rasputin and what he did with the last Tsar of Russia,
Right.
the Romanovs.
Yes, the Romanovs. Also,
Not Natasha though. She's a completely different Romanov. Well,
er,
I don't know. Isn't that like her MC like origin thing that she's like a offshoot descendant of the Romanovs, or is that just a Russian name they gave her?
I think it's just a descendant, or it's a Russian name that they gave
All
her.
right.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
Like
I can't
again,
remember either.
with comic book characters, like their backstories get retconned in every
Yep.
5 minutes.
Ain't
So,
that the truth?
um, yeah. So this one, I feel like was a much more critically acclaimed movie, and so
Yeah.
did the box office.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
So it had a budget of 50 million, and it had a box office take home of 140 million.
Not bad. Not for an
So
animated
I
film in
mean,
those days. Not
almost
bad.
yeah, almost tripling your budget in your take home. So it was a profitable movie. It was a very good movie. It was a very successful movie.
Mhm.
Um, I think thanks in part to a good story,
Yeah.
entertaining and engaging
Mhm.
characters. I think for me, really like the worst part about that movie was the dog.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the dog.
Yeah, like she had a dog, and it really didn't serve to drive the story any more than
Yeah.
it was a dog.
There was an animal, but I mean they had Bartok, who that was all the animal we needed for that film.
Correct. Voiced by Hank Azaria. A fun character, but yeah, this movie had I think an even bigger like star power, which probably
Yeah, it did.
explains the $50 million budget. Um, Meg Ryan,
Mhm.
uh, John Cusack,
Yep.
Kelsey Grammer,
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd, Hank Azaria, Bernadette Peters. I forgot about this. Kirsten Dunst was in it as young Anastasia.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah. Angela Lansbury
Oh yeah. Yep.
as the Dowager Empress.
Mhm.
And fun fact for you, Rasputin has a musical number in it. He's voiced by Christopher Lloyd.
Mhm.
Uh, However, his singing voice is Jim Cummings.
Oh, nice. Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
Yep.
Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, in everything that Disney has touched in the last 30 years.
Yep.
Um, yeah, no, he is the
That's
singing voice
That's
for
pretty cool,
Rasputin.
actually.
Which he also did the singing voice for Jeremy Irons when he played Scar in.
Really? 'Cause, like, I thought that was Jeremy Irons singing.
No, if you go back and listen to the main musical number, which was
Be prepared.
"Be Prepared."
Yep.
It's not Jeremy Irons. It's Jim
Really?
Cummings singing. Like you listen to
Okay.
it.
Like, I know we kind of talked about this in our voice actor episode. Jim Cummings, like, the more I learn about this man, the more just amazing he is.
Yeah,
He's
and
he's a mina
I
bird.
believe the Jeremy Irons possibly started singing the song,
Okay.
but during recording he actually threw his voice out and couldn't record the
Oh.
song. That's why he tried to do the recording, but he couldn't. So
Right.
the latter half of because I believe the beginning of the song features Scar kind of
Monologuing.
you know monologuing. It's not real like singing. It's almost like Shakespearean prose type thing.
Yeah.
It's very melodic prose. Like it's
Mhm.
not quite 100% singing, but yeah,
Yeah.
the latter half of the song is definitely Jim Cummings
Huh. That's
singing that for
pretty
you.
neat,
So
actually. Yeah. Man, that guy is so talented.
yes, he really is. Like
Yeah.
it really is. But yeah, back to Anastasia. We talk about, obviously death features pretty
Yeah.
prominently in a lot of Don Bluth films, and we mentioned it earlier. Rasputin dies and basically, gets his soul sucked out of his body.
Or
Uh,
did he?
right.
So okay, so speaking of Rasputin, I was actually reading an article that they have actually figured out like how Rasputin actually died, and like the story that he was shot, poisoned, stabbed, drawn and quartered, drowned, blah 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 blah. Most of those accounts were wrote by the guy that actually killed him, so there was some embellishment. What they're saying is more than likely he was shot, died from the gun wound. They threw him in the river, and when they, because they said, oh, when we drug his body out of the river, there were claw marks on the ice. He was still trying to escape, and there wasn't. There were no claw marks on the ice. They shot him and he died. I mean, it's like Anastasia is a good showing that history can be romanticized quite a bit. And like most of us, especially of our generation, grew up. That was the story of Anastasia. The princess that lived, and like the Romanovs didn't. I'm gonna sorry to rip off the candy coated band-aid. The Romanovs did not live. They all in fact died. Um, Historically, like
I believe they actually found their remains in a well.
I think
Uh,
it was
it was a s-
it
it was like
was
a
like
sealed up
near,
well.
yeah,
Yeah, and then they did genetic testing and they did in fact find
all of them.
all of them,
Yeah.
including Anastasia.
Yeah, which I mean is sad, but I mean it was just that was the period of history in Russia. There was a lot of civil unrest because of a lot of things that happened. Um,
Right.
but I mean historically, Rasputin was always there in the background. If you ever get a chance, like look up, like if you can find any documentaries on Rasputin, or I wish I could find it. There was a YouTube channel that's all they do is they find like romanticized historical figures and give you the historically accurate, like, no, this is how their life actually went. And there was one that I was listening to it about Rasputin, and there's a lot of stuff about him I didn't know. He, like, historically really interesting figure, but not the Rasputin that we know from popular media by
Right.
any stretch.
Right.
So, especially not
Yeah.
the Hellboy version of Rasputin, which, like, I actually have I think it's the Hellboy comic version, but I have a Rasputin Funko Pop over there actually.
Oh, nice.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and it was a fun movie. I mean, still that classic Don Bluth style, but I mean, we're getting more into the more modern of his films. Really good characters. Just everything about it was just it was enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It was a very. I thought it was a very good movie, and
Mm.
again, the box office agreed.
Yeah.
And it made a decent amount of money.
Hmm. I mean,
The next movie.
well, there was we probably won't talk about it a whole lot, but there was also a direct-to-video spinoff of that, Bartok the Magnificent, because Bartok was kind of the breakaway kid's favorite character from that.
Yeah. I never actually saw that one. I
Yeah.
knew it came out, and I went,
Why?
no, not for me.
Yeah, I'll pass on that one. Like
Yeah.
I am aware it's a thing, but as far as my memory goes, anyway, I don't remember watching it. So
Yeah. Um. Anyway, but now I think we can jump a few years to the next major, and I think really like the last major
yeah,
movie that Don Bluth and his team released, which was Titan A.E.,
yeah.
which A.E. means After Earth.
Which I mean, admittedly,
Oh,
like you really enjoyed this one, if memory serves.
yeah, there's something about like I
Excuse me.
recognize it's not like an amazing movie,
Right.
but I enjoyed it. Like
It was
there's just
quite a bit
something about
different than his other films.
yeah, they're quite a bit different. I mean, very much a more adult, uh, a much more adult centered movie. I mean, it deals with death and betrayal and loss and all of these things, and again such a powerful movie, and it also featured some decent computer graphics. I mean, the
For the
Dredge were
time,
all
absolutely, yeah.
yeah, the Dredge were the energy aliens, and they were all done CGI.
Yep.
It
Now,
was
I remember it also had a really good soundtrack too.
yeah, I believe Creed, I think, did some songs for it. I believe Power Man 5000 was on there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Had one one song on the soundtrack. But yeah, I mean, it was it's a movie that's set in the future. Basically, the Dredge come and destroy Earth, and it's follows uh, you know Kale Tucker, who's the son of a genius scientist who's um, he basically founded this new technology called the Titan. And they don't really tell you like what it does. They just know that it could, change the fate of the universe type thing.
And I looked
Which is
up.
why
Power Man 5000 did have a song on theirs. So did Jamiroquai, actually.
God bless you.
Right. Um, I don't see Creed on there though. Lit, Electricity, The Urge, Bliss 66, Splashdown, Luscious Jackson, Power Man 5000, Fun Lovin' Criminals, Texas, Jamiroquai, and the Wailing Souls. I don't see, I don't see Creed on there. I thought maybe there's just another band that's kind of like a Creed mimic.
Maybe. Hard for me to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the movie didn't do well. It had a budget of upwards of 90 million. It only made 36.
Yeah. Like
So
I'm wondering if like other stuff came out at the time or if it just wasn't marketed well. I mean, because it wasn't a bad movie at all. It was
yeah,
enjoyable.
yeah. No, it was enjoyable. Let's see. Yeah, sorry, I was just taking a look real quick. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, I enjoyed. I think part of it was I also enjoyed the casting in this one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They had really good cast. Matt Damon as the main character.
Yep.
Bill Pullman, who I grew up with him as the president from Independence Day.
Right. Yep.
Um, and he's in several other things that we enjoyed. John Leguizamo.
Who
You
did
know,
who did Leguizamo play in that? I forgot.
he plays Goon, the little like weird turtle frog thing that has like the glasses.
Oh yeah. Man, like he played a lot of just oddball characters in that era.
He still plays a lot of
Well, I mean,
oddball
what
characters.
he's a lot. He's got a lot more serious roles now, though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was in season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Like John
yeah,
Leguizamo, like he's one of those like if you mention the name, everybody's like, oh yeah, I know that guy. I mean, as Luigi Mario, but yeah. Like, do you remember talking John Leguizamo? Do you remember the movie The Pest?
yeah.
Which was a comedy riff on the story The Most Dangerous Game, which was not a thing I ever thought would exist. But like that one, like I thought that movie was just it was so dumb that it was funny. But John Leguizamo made that role work.
Right.
That's one of my favorite films of his. But no,
Yeah, I mean, well, he was also in Spawn as the clown, and
yeah,
the
The
clown slash
Violator.
violator. Yeah. Um. Yeah, I always enjoyed that one as well. Um. I know that I believe. Didn't I hear that they're working on doing a new Spawn, like a reboot of
It,
Spawn or
it
something
it
like
has
that?
been in development hell for years. I mean, I recently heard some new news about it, so I mean that's good at least. Like Spawn, like the only concern I'd have about a new Spawn film is like when it came out, there were a few other superhero movies of that era that there weren't many, so you could take your time and enjoy them. With it coming out in the era of the powerhouse of Marvel, and with DC still apart with a few exceptions, their more recent movies have all been pretty good. Um, but to bring, I mean, like Spawn is a well-known character. I mean, you can show somebody a picture of Spawn if they have any passing knowledge of superheroes. He's pretty recognizable. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a household name, but people know who he is. Kind of like John
Right.
Leguizamo. But I'd be worried that even with like McFarlane like helming it directly and wanting it to be more true to the source material, I'm wondering how well it would do in the era of Marvel.
Uh, I think that's a fair shake. If we're being honest.
I mean, like I'd still like to see it because like the original Spawn film I thought was okay. The HBO animated series though,
Keith David.
oh my god, I thought that was phenomenal. Like I wish they would have continued more of that, especially like when it came out. Like I started actually looking into Spawn and like the comic had gone on a long way from where they were at in the series. Like it got like HBO has never been one to shy away from controversial material. It's I mean look at Game of Thrones, you know, but like Spawn, like especially in its later years, got into like I mean literally dealing with the forces of heaven and hell, literally fighting. I mean they touched on it like the beginning of the series and the early parts of the comics, but I mean it gets to the point where like Spawn is literally fighting God and the devil themselves. But But anyway, so back to Dom DeLuise. Yeah, Titan A.E. Like it wasn't a bad film, but like I'd be interesting to do a little more interested to do a little more research on that and see, was it marketing? Was it like, did people just not think it looked good? Was there something else big that came out at the time? What was it that caused that to be financially a failure?
Yeah, it's. I would like to know as well. And I think for me, um,
Because that was his last like major
ma-
animated film. Yeah.
yeah, for me, for Titan AE, there, like it was mostly a traditionally hand drawn movie.
Yeah.
I think it clocks in at maybe like 90 to 100 and you know, 90 minutes or 90 right around like an hour and a half long. The movie itself, I felt like the story was too rushed.
Actually, oh wait, that's the soundtrack. The movie itself was 76 minutes 55 seconds.
Yeah, I mean the movie needed to be either longer or really a series,
Yeah.
like a limited series, like a 13 episode series or something like that. Like it was. I feel like it had a really good potential story. Like it had good potential, but it would just I there were components of it that fell flat as far as the execution
Right.
went,
And
which I
actually,
think is
I
probably what hurt it.
to correct myself real quick, I was actually looking at the limited edition of the soundtrack's length. The movie, excuse me, was 94 minutes. Sorry,
Okay, so yeah, right
like
around about an hour and
hour and a half.
it's an hour, just over an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I I think it needed more. It needed to be longer, and I think it like yeah, it felt like they really rushed the conclusion of the movie. Um, but again, I mean, it was decent. You know, it was nominated for some awards. Saturn Award for Best Sci-Fi Movie, Satellite Award for Best Motion Picture.
Well, say and
Um,
looking at its wiki page here, it was produced by Fox Animation Studios as its third and final project.
yeah,
It was theatrically released on June 16th, 2000 by 20th Century Fox in the States. And it received mixed reviews from critics and, as we previously stated, made a loss at the box office.
yeah,
Janine
yeah, and
Garofalo was in that.
who?
Janine Garofalo. Ron
Oh,
Perlman was in it.
yep,
Oh, and Tone Loc.
yep. Drew Barrymore obviously is one of the main
Yep.
characters.
I've kind of mentioned.
Nathan Lane. So
Oh, yeah, yeah. Nathan Lane was in that.
yeah, the general critic response seems to have been, one of the critic reviews here that I'm seeing is, basically great visuals, but the story feels like a cut and paste job of other sci-fi movies. Which, I mean, it's a pseudo kids movie. I
Yeah.
think it came in with a PG, maybe PG-13 rating.
I was going to say,
Uh,
looking at Rotten Tomatoes here, it has a audience score of 60% and a tomato meter score of 50%.
yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
So, I mean, there was there's definitely some problems, and I think it was likely a component of problems at Fox Animation in
Right.
reality. Um, Yeah,
Hmm.
I wish it had an it's one of those movies that I do kind of wish that somebody would pick up to like a remake or a revival
Yeah,
of it or
that'd be
something
kind of
like
neat of
that.
that.
And kind of give it more of a give it another chance,
Right.
really. Um, because it's also one of the few properties I feel like that didn't have some kind of sequel or
Or
uh
anything
you know
else.
or anything
I
else. I
mean,
mean, if
did it have a video game?
I think they had. If I look at the wiki page, I think they said it had a canceled video game.
Okay, because I
Yeah, it
vaguely
did.
remembered. Yeah, yeah, cancel video game. Like, because I vaguely remember hearing something about that. Um, oh, for original PlayStation.
Yeah. So yeah. But anyway, yeah. So that was like Don's. Don Bluth's like last major film.
Yeah.
Apparently he worked on uh The Gift of the Hoopoe as a short film back in 2009, but has
Hoopoo.
generally been a
The hoopoo.
yeah, the Hoopoo has generally
Hoopoo,
been
you
a
poo.
you poop Rost. Um, has generally been kind of out of it for a little while, but
Yeah.
also had again they had some accolades in the video game realm, like we said. Dragon Slayer, Space Ace, those were two arcade classics. I
Mhm.
think they actually just remastered them and just
Yes.
re-released it. I
I think
think
so, yep.
Dragon Slayer, I believe.
Yep.
Um, and Don Bluth is he's actually working on he has apparently an Indiegogo to fund a movie.
When was he born?
1937.
Oh my gosh! I was under the impression that he passed away.
Nope, he
Wow!
is still alive.
Holy crap! Yeah, I just looked at
Yeah,
that.
yep,
Born in
still
September
alive,
13th
folks.
to 37. Worked for Disney from actually three different times, or two different times. Excuse me, from 55 to 57, then from 71 to 79, and worked for Filmation from 67 to 70. So it looks like he worked at Disney until 57, took a couple years off, worked at Filmation from 67 to 70, and then went back to Disney from 71 to 79, and then started doing his own thing. Huh.
Yep.
Man, yeah, I didn't realize he was still alive. Wow,
Yeah,
kudos
I
to
mean, you
Mr.
just don't.
Bluth.
Yeah, you just don't hear a lot about him. Obviously, I mean,
Right?
he's 83 years old at this point.
Right?
Going relatively strong. I think. Haven't
Right.
really heard much about him, and it
Right.
will be his birthday here coming up soon.
Oh yeah, he would.
Um,
So
September
happy early
13th.
birthday, Mr. Bluth. Thank you for all
Yes.
the memories.
Yes. Happy early birthday. It's soon to be 84. Um,
Well, I
yeah,
mean, and
but
like that just kind of like speaks to his legacy that he and you and I kind of talked about this before the show that there was a lot of other films of that era that like you can tell. And I mean, I'm sure we could save these for another episode. There were a lot of other films of that era, like when he was churning out movies as quickly as Disney was, that you can definitely tell like they took influence pretty heavily. That's why I had the wiki page pulled up because there were a lot of movies and I'm like, oh, that's got to be a Don Bluth film, and it's not on that list. It wasn't a Don. There are several that were not Don Bluth films, but you would be forgiven for being mistaken that they were his films because either through animation style or content or just overall presentation. Yeah, so but I mean again, we can save
yeah, I
that
mean
for another episode of non-Disney movies, which I think we did that already, didn't we?
um,
Well, we can barely remember what we did last week, all right, guys?
I don't even remember what I had for breakfast.
I had cottage cheese for lunch, I know that.
Well, there you
Nothing
have it.
says lunch like a bowl of cottage cheese.
Mm, spoiled milk curds.
Mm,
Yum.
grind up a pig, put it in a can, scrap bowl.
Scrapple. Um, yeah, so I think that'll probably do it for us tonight.
Yeah,
But
a good
thank you for
stopping
joining
point.
us in our jog down memory lane, as Tim said, into the land before time. Um,
But not the land before time 2 through 400.
don't get me
Hang on.
started.
I have to, before we sign off, I have to find out how many Land Before Time movies are there? There are, my gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Land Before Time, Land Before Time, The Great Valley Adventure, Land Before Time, The Time of Great Giving, Land Before Time, Journey Through the Mist, Land Before Time, The Mysterious Island, Land Before Time, The Secrets of Saurus Rock, Land Before Time, The Stone of Cold Fire, Land Before Time, The Big Freeze, Land Before Time, Journey of Big Water, Land Before Time, The Great Long Neck Migration, Land Before Time, Invasion of the Tiny Sauruses, Land Before Time, The Great Day of the Flyer, Land Before Time, The Wisdom of Friends, and Land Before Time, Journey of the Brave. Only one of those matters. Anyway.
It was yeah.
Goodness.
But thank you, Mr. Bluth, for giving us at least the original that was so beloved and well received.
And there's a currently direct-to-video Uh, Journey Before Time 15, Journey to Sharptooth Mountain. It's coming later this year. Well, that was announced back in 2020, so we'll see. Um, wait, is there a Land Before Time 16? There's a Land Before
Uh,
Time 16 also in production. Oh my god. So 15 came out. There's 16 of these. What?
so apparently they're just hiring
All right.
fresh animators
All
or
right.
shipping it off to Malaysia or
I
somewhere for
don't know.
cheap, and I guess they're gonna keep milking that
Oh
thing, and
my gosh.
so long as it keeps making money. I don't know how, but it's making money apparently.
I guess. Oh my goodness. There are a lot of Land Before Time a lot more than I thought. Like I was joking that there were 400 of them. I didn't realize there was anything past like 10 or 11, honestly. Wow. Okay. So on that weird note, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll probably wrap it up here, but thank you again, Mr. Bluth, for those childhood
Oh,
memories,
absolutely. Yes, yes.
giving us something besides Disney. You know, you know, I to every where there is light, there must be dark, there must be shadow. So and Don Bluth it's wonderful movies, and they deal with some pretty heavy core real life
Oh,
issues that
absolutely.
thankfully, he was willing to tackle some of those in a very respectful manner,
Yeah,
and
very
able to
much so.
educate kids. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I mean, even my kids have seen several of his movies.
Yeah, same, same.
Yeah, I need to get a hold of a Rock-A-Doodle and
Same.
have them
Yeah,
watch that.
so do I. Like, it's a shame there's not like Don Bluth Plus. I mean, for all like 12 of his movies, but still, like, it'd be nice if they were. I mean, I'm sure they're on Amazon or what have you. But I'd like to find some of those and watch them. Like, for sure, for sure. Give me some nostalgia just looking at the images of them on my other monitor over here.
Yep. All right, folks. Well, I think that'll do it for us tonight. So we thank you for joining us. You can find all of our old material hosted on Anchor.fm, where they are platform central and service up to other podcast providers, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I think there's like 7 of them in total. And you can also listen directly there. You can catch the video recording of this on YouTube, Non Sequitur Nerds. We do have a Twitch, which we are broadcasting live. If you're interested in seeing us live,
Yep. And if you
uh,
hop in, we have chat up. We'll be more than happy to talk with you during the show.
yeah, or even afterwards.
Hmm.
Um, and then, of course, thank you. You can find us on social media on Facebook at facebook.com/non-sequitur-nerds and at Twitter at non-sequitur-nerd.
We are more
So,
active on Facebook, though. I will say that.
yes, lately anyway.
Yep.
Uh, until the ADD kicks in, and then
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so with that, I think we will go ahead and let you go. And thank you for joining us. Uh, we'll catch you guys later. Uh, signing off for the night. I'm Ian.
And I'm Tim. Good night, everybody.
Bye.